and welcome to the math review for the final. So I just picked some problems that I thought students struggled with from throughout the chapters. I didn't do chapter 8 since we just covered that in class and we're just doing a test on that. I'm just picking problems from other chapters. Another way to prepare for the test would be go back and look at previous tests or previous reviews and go back and redo those. But here are some problems that people thought that I saw there was repeated errors on. So number 1 is an order of operations problem. Okay, so I am looking at this one and I am thinking to myself, what do I need to do first? So PEMDAS, parentheses, I have no parentheses that I can simplify inside of it. Like I have parentheses, but there's nothing to do inside. Then I have exponents right here. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to square my -2. So when I square -2, everything inside the parentheses is squared. So I get -2 times -2. Negative times a negative equals positive, so I get +4. So that's what I'm going to plug in for -2 squared. So I get 4 divided by 4, which I just solved for, plus -1, which I'm just going to change to -1. Then PEMDAS, so I already did my parentheses, I already did my exponents. Do I have any multiplies or divides? I do. I'm going to do those next. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. 0 is my answer for this. Okay, number 2, solve and check the equation. Okay, I have variables and letters, and I want to get variables on one side, numbers on the other. 5p minus 3 equals 3p plus 3. So I want to move p to one side of my equation. I'm going to move it to the left side of my equation because I want my p's to be positive. If you move it to the right, it will be okay. You'll just end up with a negative sign, and I like to avoid those. So here, my p's cancel. So I'm left with 3. And over here I get 5p minus 3p gives me 2p minus 3 equals 3. And then I'm going to add 3 to both sides. There we go. And I get 2p equals 6. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I get p equals 3. Okay, continuing on, looking at number 3, it says the perimeter of the shape is 23 centimeters. Find the length of the unlabeled side. We're going to add up all the other sides together. I've got 2 plus 2 plus 6 plus 8, and I'm going to see what those equal. And when I add those all up, I get 18. So 18, and then I've got x over here. So I know that 18 plus x has to equal my total perimeter. So x plus 18 equals my total perimeter, which they said was 23, and I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. Cancels over here. I'm left with x equals 5 centimeters. Awesome. A fire burned a forest with square-shaped forest with 49 miles on each side. So I'm going to draw a forest. That is a square, in case you're curious. It's not a great square, but it's a square. 49 miles, and it's a square, so it's going to be the same on all sides. And it says, what is the area? Area of a square equals side squared. So my side is 49 squared. I don't know 49 squared. I'm going to use my calculator. 49 times 49 equals 2041. And then my units, I had miles times miles, so it's going to be miles squared. 2,401. A metal strip is being installed around a workbench that is being installed around a workbench that is 7 feet long and 2 feet wide. The strips cost $4 a foot. Find the total cost of stripping. So first I need the area that I'm looking at. The area of a rectangle equals base times height. So my base is going to be 7 times 2, which is 14 square feet. I'll say squared. And then it costs $4 per foot. So if I've got my my rectangle here, 7 feet by 2 feet, and imagine this is drawn to scale. I think that's about right. If we look at this, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 squares, and each one costs $4. So I'm going to multiply 14 times 4, and that's going to give me my total cost. So 14 times 4 is 56. So our top cost is $56. Same thing for number 6. Mr. and Mrs. Gomez are buying carpet for their square-shaped living room, which is 8 feet on each side, and it costs $23 per square foot for carpet and $7 for padding. Okay, I'm just going to clear this page real quick. Okay, so I have a square room, and it's 8 by 8. So first I need to do is find my area. Area equals side squared, or 8 squared. So 64 square yards is my dimensions. And then I'm going to go ahead and multiply out by how much it costs per square yard. So it's 64, and then it costs 23 plus 7 per yard to put carpet and padding on it. So I'm going to multiply by 30, and I get 64 times 30, which is 1,920. Okay, number 7, write the improper fraction as a mixed number in simplest form. Okay, well, I want it to be mixed numbers. So first thing I can do, I can cheat and I can do my calculator and go 8 divided by 3. So it's 2 and something. So I know I'm going to have 2 and a fraction. And now my big question is, what is my fraction? I can do long division, and I can say, how many times does 3 go into 8? Okay, let's see how many times I go in. 3 goes in 2 times, which is what I hope for because that's what I got on my calculator. And I get 6, and I get 2. So 6, and my remainder is 2. So it goes in 2 times with remainder 2. So my fraction is going to be 2 over 3, 2/3. 2 over 2/3. 2 and 2/3 is my mixed fraction. Okay, number 8. I am solving for y, and I have a fraction involved, which seems to be nobody's favorite topic. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine like terms. I'm going to combine 3 and 6, so I get 3 equals 1/8 minus 8, and I forgot my y. And then I want to get y's on one side, numbers on the other. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. So I get 11 equals 1/8 y. And now I'm going to rewrite this up here. It's a little easier to read. 11 equals 1/8 y. And I want to get y all by itself. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of 1/8. So I'm going to multiply by 8 over 1 on both sides. 8 over 1. And over here, this cancels. 8 and the 1, those all cancel. So I'm just left with y by itself. And then 8 over 1, it's really the same thing as 8. So I'm multiplying 11 by 8. So I get 88 equals y. Amazing. Okay. Find the area and perimeter of the triangle. Perimeter is just all the outside edges, so I'm going to add those up. I have 5 plus 8 plus 10 and a quarter. So I'm going to add my whole numbers up. 10 plus 8 plus 5 gives me 23, and then I've got this quarter left over, and that sticks around for the ride. That is my perimeter. And then I make sure I've got my units. It's a length, so it's going to be in terms of yards, because it's like measuring a piece of string would be yards. And then I want to do my area of my triangle. So I got to remember my formula for area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height. So on here, my height is this 4 and my base is this 10 1/4. So I get 1/2 base 10 1/4 times my height, which is 4. Now I want to go ahead and multiply this out, but I need to have a common denominator, or not a common denominator. I need to make my 10 1/4 into a mixed fraction, because currently I've got 10 1/4. It makes it really hard to multiply. So let's make 10 1/4 into a mixed fraction. So it's all over 4. I get 4 times 10 plus 1 gives me 40 plus 1, 41/4. So 10 1/4 is 41/4. So I get 1/2 times 41/4 times, and then I had 4, which I'm going to say is 4 over 1. And then from here, I need to multiply out and simplify. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. I get 41 times 4 times 1 gives me 164 all over 2 times 4 times 1 over 8. Okay, now I'm going to simplify if I can. They're both even. I'm going to go a little further. I think I could probably take out a 4. Let's see if I could take out a 4 on both of these. And I get, let's see, I get 41 halves, okay? And then I need to make that into a number, right? 41 halves into like either a whole number or a mixed fraction. It's not going to be a whole number. So I'm going to ask myself, how many times does 2 go into 41? Let's see, it goes in 2 times, and then 0, 2, and then 1 that comes down, and then it goes in 0 times. So I have 20, remainder 0. So I'm going to have 20 1/2, because that 1 stays over 2. So 20 1/2 is my area, and my units for area is yards times yards. So that gives me yards squared. Arrange from smallest to largest. I don't have a clear page. There we go. Okay, so here I'm going to convert smallest to largest. I know 1/2 is 0.5, so 0.5. And see how 0.7503 has 4 decimals on it? I'm just going to add so I have the same number of zeros, because it's just easier to look at. And I've got 0.703. Then I have 3/4, which is, oh, you know what? I copied this one down wrong, the previous one. Let me copy this right. I have 0.703. There we go. Copy error makes a big difference. And then I had 3 divided by 4, which gives me 0.75. And I'm going to add those 2 extra zeros onto it so it matches. And then I've got 0.4900. And then I'm going to rank them as far as smallest to biggest. This 0.49 is my smallest. I'm going to write them in the original form. And then I've got 0.5000 or 1/2. That was my next number. Then my next smallest was this one, which is 3/4. And then my last one is this 0.7503. Okay, nice. Number 11, find the measure of the complement to 8 degrees. What is the complementary angles? What do we know about them? They add up to a right angle, because it's always the right thing to do to give someone a complement. So 90 minus 48 equals a complementary angle, which is 42 degrees. 5 quarts of latex enamel paint will cover 150 square feet of wall. How many quarts are needed to cover 68 square feet of kitchen wall and 52 square feet of bathroom wall? So first thing I want to do is I want to figure out how much total I want to cover. 52 plus 68 equals 120. That is what I'm trying to cover. So I want to know how much paint it's going to take me to cover 120. Okay, so this is a ratio and proportion problem. I'm going to set it up and I'm going to say square feet to quarts. Using the units or whatever you're using, numerator to denominator, is going to make this a lot easier. So I know that my first one, I had 150 square feet, and it said it took 5 quarts. So it's over 5, and I am trying to figure out how much I need for 120, and then how many quarts. It says this right here, how many quarts. That's what I'm solving for, x. And from here, I'm going to cross multiply and solve. So I get 150x equals 120 times 5, or 150x equals 120 times 5, 600, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 150. Cancels over here. I get x equals 600 over 150 is 4. And my units for this, what was I solving for? If I look back here, quarts is in the denominator. I am looking for quarts. This is quarts, 4 quarts. Number 3, find the amount of discount in the sale price after discount. Complete the sale table below. Okay, this is a percent problem. We have percent over, that's poor drawn P, percent over 100 equals parts to the whole. We used N for parts and W for whole. So we're figuring out our discount first. So I've got 20 over 100 equals, and then it gives me my original price. Is my original price the whole or the part? It's going to be my whole in this case because it's the whole item, the whole price, and I'm solving for X. I'm going to cross multiply and solve. I get 100x equals 20 times 44.20, and I'm going to jump down to the bottom because I'm running out of room. 100x equals 20 times 44.20 gives me 884, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 100. I get x equals 8.84. Okay, now we got to ask myself, I solved for this, but what did I solve for? What is x? Okay, I solved for the discount amount. So $8.84 is my discount amount. So I didn't solve for the sales price yet. So in order to solve for the sales price, I need to take my discount amount and subtract it from my original price. So my original price was $44.20. I'm going to subtract out my discount, $8.84, which gives me a sale price of $35.35. Awesome. Okay, number 14. During a sale, a dress decreased in price from 80 to 64. What was the percent decrease of price? Okay, for percent decrease of price, we have the decrease or increase, but this time it's decrease over original. So we need to figure out what our decrease was, okay? I started at $80 and I went down to 64. So I have a decrease of 16, okay? And it's going to be times 100 because it's 100%. So decrease times original, I get 16 over 80. That was my original price. And then times 100. Now I could also set it up as parts per whole. That either way works. If I do 16 divided by 80 times by 100 gives me a discount of 20%. Okay, last one on the review. Alphonse earned an 87.5 on his test. He did 42 problems correct. How many problems were on the test? Okay, first we're going to do percent over 100. So I've got 87.5 over 100 equals parts per whole. Okay, so he got 42 problems correct. Is that my whole or is that my parts? If you think about when you take a test, when you get the numbers you get right, that is the part of the test. That's what your teacher always writes in the numerator, and then my denominator is X. And I'm gonna let you solve that one on your own. Answers on the next page. Good luck. Come to Student Success Day, and